Yo, it's me, it's the SCOTT. You may be wondering, hey, why got the ECW title out? Well, I was listening to the Deadlock podcast this morning, right? On my way to work. And they were talking about this ECW show from 2007. It was the Halloween show. It was hyping up a battle royal, a monster mash battle royal between Big Daddy V, Great Khali, Mark Henry, and the King. So, I listened to their opinions, and then I got home, and I wanted to do this. I took a nap, because I was tired after work. And so I just watched it, and I have my opinions. We're going to put the ECW title kind of, I don't know. There's no room for Ash! Where do we put it? I got an idea. Hold on. Just this once. Just this once. Everything's getting knocked down. Of course, it's Ash and Michael that he's knocked down. Jason, don't look that way, man. And Ash can go there. Pennywise is gonna fall down. It's supposed to be that in there. Okay, so anyway, to the review. So we start off the night. Elijah Burke, which is Jimmy Wang Yang. Several times, Taz called him Jimmy Yang Wang, which is not how it is. Start off the match. During the introduction, Taz notes that Jimmy Wang Yang is not wearing a costume. He actually dresses like that all the time. Because he has to tell people that he's not. It's not a costume. He actually wears that all the time. I don't know. I don't know what Iceberg was trying to do or say, but he's like, he gets on the microphone, he's like, one thing I don't like with blue-collar workers like you. And then he puts on the microphone and they do the match. Match is pretty good. Jimmy Wang Yang hits this kick. When Iceberg goes up the top rope, Jimmy Wang Yang hits this kick, to which Taz yells out, "Holy Halloween kick!" And Joey Styles says that, and Taz calls it Wang-tastic. The Elijah Burke hits the Elijah Express, and he wins the match. A lot of the banter back and forth between Joey Styles and Taz was pretty good. The next match, though, we got a promo for the Battle Royal, and then the Raw Rebound, which I'm not going to mention. There's a couple things. Raw Rebound, DX is going to come back because of Randy Orton and Umaga. And then you got, later, Kelly wins the Battle Royal, then gets attacked by Beth Phoenix. Nothing really important. Then we got a segment where Nunzio, dressed as Dracula, by the way, taking kids trick-or-treating. He takes it to see Boss Mahoney, who has some candy, and he says, "Kids, that's what's going to happen to your teeth if you eat too much candy." He goes to see him, knock on the door, CM Punk is there, and CM Punk is like, "What?" Or Ninja was like, "What are you supposed to be?" He's like, "I'm the ECW champion. I got a match coming up. Who are you supposed to be?" To which Nunzio says, "I'm Dracula, you idiot." And then, so they hands the candy and stuff. And then they go to the next door, and it's the Boogeyman. And I looked away for a second, and I looked back once I heard the Boogeyman's music. How fast did Nunzio book it out of there? Like, he was gone. Like, I heard him knock on the door, and the Boogeyman's music, I looked up, Nunzio was gone. He must have just, like, super sped out of there. He was gone. I understood he had a match up next, but he was gone. Like, whew, gone. And Boogeyman's got worms hanging out of his damn nose, first of all. And he gives the kids worms. Which is, oh, man. Oh, gives the kids worms for Halloween. But the funniest part was when he has them hanging out of his nose or whatever. I don't know what he's snorting worms. I like the worms. I don't know. And then we have Nunzio versus Tommy Dreamer. Nunzio was, of course, dressed as Dracula. Which is weird, because I thought when he was in ECW, he was Little Guido, but I guess they changed it back to Nunzio. I don't know. Tommy Dreamer comes out dressed as Paul Heyman. And this was after Paul Heyman was fired from WWE. He was gone. He left. So the whole time, like, they don't know who he's dressed as. And Taz, I bet about 20 times in the damn match, keeps saying, "The guy looks like Tommy Dreamer." How many times you gotta say that, Taz? We get it. "The guy looks like Tommy Dreamer." It is Tommy Dreamer. There's a spot where he takes Nunzio's head and dumps it in the barrel of apples, like Bob for apples in there. And Nunzio, like, falls out. And then Tommy Dreamer takes it and just dumps it over his own head. He goes, "Ah!" Taz points out that that's not Nunzio, it's Count Dracula. And so then Joey Styles calls him the Ghoulish Goomba. There's a point where Tommy Dreamer dressed as Paul Heyman takes out one of those big ass cell phones from back in the late 80s, early 90s, bops Nunzio in the head, and they're like, one of them says, I think it's Taz that says, that phone looks like it's from 1982. And then the other one, Joey Styles, I think, says, or 1995, which Paul Heyman 95, woo! And Dreamer wins with his Dreamer DDT. This was like the most fun match. This was the most fun match of the night, for sure. As much as they hyped up a battle royal, it didn't live up to this. This was like the fun match of the night. All right. Next, we had a number one contenders match between The Miz and John Morrison. And this came about because The Miz was picked by the fans over John Morrison to challenge CM Punk for the ECW title at Cyber Sunday that year. And so they go one-on-one. Not much to say. The Miz came out with that and his weird little hat and bandana and jeans or whatever, pants, whatever it was. John Morrison was always going to win here. He hits I think it was called the Moonlight Drive. Maybe not at this point. They said it was like a weird, like a rolling neck breaker, they called it, I think. But it ends up being called the Moonlight Drive eventually. Yeah, match was fine. Really anything of note. And then we transition, then we go to commercial, I think. Then with commercial, and they came back. Throughout the night, they are also doing these promo packages for the four men in the Battle Royal, the four monstrous mountains in the Battle Royal. But we come back to commercial end, and John Morrison has just joined Joey Styles and Taz at the announce table, and he doesn't like pumpkins, apparently. He's like, I never got pumpkins, I guess. And he's like, trying to move it out of the way. So we got CM Punk versus Jamie Lee Curtis. Sorry, that's from the Deadlock podcast. They called him Jamie Lee Curtis. We got CM Punk versus James Curtis, which is a squash match. It's just CM Punk hitting all his moves so he can show off in front of John Morrison, beat the guy, and then John Morrison comes in, attacks him from behind. Basic, not, CM Punk should be worth more than that, but at the time, Matt had no, point to him. Then we had the Monster Mash Battle Royal, and this, as much as it was hyped, these four big monsters, three of them, now they talked about at the beginning of the night that there's a working relationship between SmackDown and ECW. That's mostly because SmackDown and ECW were, ECW was live and SmackDown was also taped at the same time. So, on the same night, but ECW was a live one, and SmackDown was on Fridays at this point. This is now, but back then I think it was on the CW. And, you had Big Daddy V, who was the only ECW participant, against Kane, Great Khali, and Mark Henry, who were all on SmackDown. So the first person eliminated was Big Daddy V, but there was this point where he and Mark Henry were doing this weird face-off. Mark Henry ran into him, and he just went, "Ah!" banging on his titties, and then he ran into Mark Henry. Mark Henry basically did the thing, and then Big Daddy V gets eliminated first. The only ECW superstar in this battle royal, and he gets eliminated. Great Khali is up next. He gets thrown over the rope because he's so tall. He hangs out the ropes because he's so tall. His feet hit instantly. He's out. So it's down, and Kane and Mark Henry work together to eliminate colleagues. Now they're both going against each other, and eventually Mark Henry wins by throwing out Kane. So Mark Henry, who a year later-ish would become the ECW champion, won this. But they weren't really doing anything with Mark Henry at this point. I don't remember him doing anything big after this, or why this was even important. It was ECW, and I don't know. I think at this point, ECW was still decent. I mean, I remember when, I used to watch ECW a lot. Like, when I first moved out here, I was watching, like, every wrestling show. Raw, SmackDown, ECW, occasionally TNA. But, I watched ECW when I moved out here on my own. I watched ECW until it was done. And then it was NXT, and I watched that. And then they put it on the network, the website, the WWE.com, and I was sort of watching those. And then they got to that NXT Redemption thing. See, I think I stopped during season 4, actually. But, yeah, it just went away, the NXT. But, yeah, I watched ECW till its conclusion. And there was some pretty good stuff going forward, but it got watered down. Here, it was still trying to have some kind of identity as an extreme thing. But eventually it got watered down to being just another WWE show. It looked different from the other WWE shows. It had a little different identity. But then later you would bring in Josh Matthews and Matt Striker as ring announcers who would end up going to SmackDown later. And then the set designs were all the same for Raw, SmackDown, and ECW starting in 2008. So it didn't really, like a few months from this, everything would look the same. It would get an overhaul. But this was still when it was trying to have an identity, and I appreciate it. And, for ECW on the Sci-Fi Channel to do a Halloween thing was actually pretty cool. It's cheesy, I know, but I enjoyed it. So what are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty. See you in the next one.